Hi, I'm Adam and welcome to First Man Photography, the channel that will help you take your photography to the next level. If you haven't done so already, head over to firstmanphotography.com, fill in your details to join the email list, and I'll send you a free copy of the ebook on how to capture perfect exposure every time. Okay, let's get into this. In this video, we're going to do another critique, and this one is of the images of Ed Morrissey. He's been a subscriber from the start, so I appreciate you for that, Ed. Hopefully you'll get some good value out of this critique. Before we get into it though, I'd really like it if you followed me on Instagram. I'm putting pictures up there as often as I can, and I'm having lots of good interactions with people on there. So I'd really like it if you came along, give me a follow, and if I like what I see from your pictures, I will definitely follow you back. Okay, let's get into the computer and we'll see what Ed has to offer. Okay, so we go straight into Ed's images, and let's first take a quick look at the gear he's using. Now, he has a Canon 5D Mark III and the really nice 16-35 2.8 Mark II. So he's got some pretty serious gear there, so hopefully I can expect a high standard of image if he's really gone and put that cash down on that good gear. So this is the first shot, and instantly I quite like it. It's a really nice scene, even with this line of vehicles. There's clearly a road there, but to me that really doesn't matter. It's still a nice scene. My instant thought is though that you could maybe just get a little bit lower to the water. I don't know if that's possible with where you are. It looks like there's possibly some rocks down here, but for this sort of shot I think it's nice to get really low to the ground. If your camera's on a tripod, get it right down as far as you can to the water, as much as you're willing to risk, because it'll make that stream look much bigger and will add much more drama to the image. I think also you could probably it will add some interest if you went for a long exposure. That's a personal taste for me, possibly because I love long exposure photography, but I think that would add an extra layer of interest, to this image. So let's go on to the next one. So I think this is the same location, definitely looks the same, and this time we're on an early morning. Sunrise in the distance there, and it looks like this one is a long exposure in fact. And yet we're at 30 seconds there, f8, and 16mm, and ISO 800. Not quite sure why he's at ISO 800. You could have gone for an even longer exposure if you just put it down to ISO 100, and you're going to remove as much noise from the image as possible then, and you'll have a much cleaner image. I do like the image. I feel it would have been better again being in the middle of that stream. Don't be afraid to put your wellies on, get in the water, put your tripod in the water, and then get down low like I said in that last image. I think he's got a good eye though with what's going on here, because that sunrise in the distance in that valley, it looks a little bit cloudy, but on a different day you could get there and really capture the sun coming up through that valley, and that would be a really dramatic image. So nice eye from Ed there, and just a couple of things to work on with that image. And that's the thing I've talked about recently with landscape photography. It's about planning and preparation and getting out there at the right time. But nice work there, Ed. You're on the right track, definitely, with them. So on to the next one. Okay, so we have the church, as he's named it, and again we're on the 5D Mark III. We're at f7.1 and a 30-second exposure, which you can see from the lights from the vehicles here. I'm not totally sure what Ed's going for here. It's not my favourite image. Possibly trying to show the church and the light streaks, but I just don't think it works with having the church coming through the streaks of light there. I'm thinking that you could maybe get onto the grass verge of the church here, because with that nice wide angle lens, that 16-35mm, set up on the grass and then maybe get the church and the road and those light streaks in the image, and that might just look a bit of a more well-composed image and a bit more interest, because then you've got the church, the grass, you get close to one of these gravestones, that could add some real drama to it as well, and then having the road and these light streaks could really make a brilliant image. So maybe that's what you're going for, but I think we just need to think a little bit more about the composition. Okay, next one. Okay, this is the super shopper in a town centre somewhere by the looks of it. He's been to Superdrug, this guy. Yeah, just sort of standard shot of a guy shopping. Maybe Ed knows this chap, I'm not sure, but that could make the real difference here, whether it's a nice shot for him, it tells a story for him. for me, it's a nice enough image, not a lot of interest, and that's about it for that one. It looks well exposed, well taken, and sharp in the right places, so that's definitely a positive thing. On to the next one. Okay, I'm not totally sure what's going on here. It says hair. Is it about this hair here? I don't know. Yeah, not much more to say about that one. I'm not sure what he's going for there, so I maybe should have asked him before I went ahead and shot this video. But it doesn't really... I don't really know what Ed's going for here. Ed, let me know, and it might make a little more sense. I don't know if I'm being harsh there, but please do let me know what's happened, what the plan is with that one. Okay, Manchester, and immediately I'm liking a lot of what I see in this image. It's well exposed, there's lots of detail in it, it's an interesting building, and you've got these nice artificial lights with the nice stars here. What are we at? F8, 19mm with the same gear as we've been using. 15-second exposure, and this time down at 100, and you can see instantly the quality difference that it makes between ISO 100 and then ISO 800 in that previous image. This is a much cleaner image, and that comes through straight away. If I was going to be slightly critical, I don't think there's a lot of interest in this foreground concrete area. That's not that interested in this bit here, and these sort of advertising signs are a little bit off-putting. What I would do, in fact, is get closer to the buildings, because you've got that nice wide angle. If you went up to this railing here, just popped your camera over it, or just sitting on top of it with the tripod up against this, up against the railing here, you'd then get that, I think it looks like a canal, you'd get that canal in the shot, and then you'd have a nice clean image of the building without these railings getting in the way and sort of detracting from the image a bit, because this is a really interesting building. There's some interesting lines in this bit. So good eye, if you've exposed well, lots of good things there. I just think if you got in front of that, got your camera in front of these railings, there'd be a lot more interest with that water. You'd start to pick up some reflections, and I think you could have a really great image. But yeah, nice work. I'm liking that one with just those improvements. I'd like to see it taken again in that sense. On to the next one. So through, I think he means through the car. Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on here either. Ed, let me know what you're doing with this one as well. And this time we're through the bus. And it's slightly more interesting. This chap here is well framed. You can see it's a bus. You've got the crossing here. I don't actually mind that one. I quite like it. You can see that it's in Manchester as well. So there's lots of things going on in that image. And my attention is dragged up to this chap here. And it sort of gives that sense of being in the city. Same sort of thing here. Another city shot. It's raining. It's telling a story. What of this woman looks like she's shopping. Looks like there's a price on this sign. The only thing I would say was with this one is I'd like to see her whole face. Just move around a little bit to get her whole face, both eyes in that image, and then you could read, because she's got a really interesting face. You can see that with the bit we can see, but just recompose a little bit, get her whole face in there, and you've got a much more interesting image. But yeah, again, on the right track, Ed. So it's not a lot of change needed to really get these images looking great. Lower left third. Well, Ed has definitely identified where the interest is in that frame there, and it's definitely in the lower left third in this girl's face. Again, really interesting subject. So Ed's definitely got an eye for interesting subjects and things like that. I would just like to see it sort of cropped here maybe, and then you've got a much more interesting image there. Like I say, good eye for a good subject. Now let's just quickly go back to the album as a whole. I think you're very close to really taking some beautiful pictures. You've definitely got a keen eye for things. And actually, now I'm seeing these sort of city shots together, like this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and the last one. Put together, they're telling a bit more of a story than they are by themselves. And it's kind of that city fragments kind of feel. It's clearly in Manchester, so you really start to tell the story of Manchester there, and you could end up with something really pretty decent. And I have actually had a look at Ed's photo stream as a whole on Flickr, and he's got a couple of other good images that I like, so I'm just going to show you them quickly. This one here, really interesting one of this car park. These night scenes, these city fragments that I'm talking about. That's one of them. And then there's this one here with this really interesting green light, or it's clearly at night, in the Marks and Spencer delivery area. I just like it. You're getting down into the dirty of Manchester here, and I think there's definitely a really interesting story to tell there as you start to find your style. Again, this one, I like the light coming out of there onto the dark road, a little blue light up here. So there's, like I said, a keen eye for interesting subjects. It's just thinking about how you're framing them, but putting them together in this sort of city fragments idea that I keep talking about. I think you'd end up with a really, really nice portfolio of images around Manchester there. And this is the sort of local stuff that can really work. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. If I was a bit harsh, whether you agreed, I want to hear from you. If you want me to critique your images, head over to firstmanphotography.com, click the link in the menu for photo critique, and then fill in the form and put 10 of your best images, the very best images that is, into an album on Flickr, and then just paste that link from that album into the form and then submit it. I'll take a look and I'll get round to them all as soon as I possibly can. There's lots coming in, so hopefully you can appreciate that I can't be doing them all the time because I don't want you to get bored, but I will do them as soon as I can and get it out there to you. Please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you on another video very soon. I'm Adam, this is First Man Photography, out.